Marlene Dietrich, 1901 to 1992. Glamour is what I sell. It's my stock in trade. Marlene Dietrich. When Marlene Dietrich first became a household name in the United States, she introduced a new standard for female sexuality on screen. Her performance in The Blue Angel, 1930, not only stands as one of the most glamorous roles ever played, but also one of the frankest depictions of the femme fatale ever captured on screen. Moreover, the film essentially set the tone for the image that Marlene Dietrich would cultivate over her career, unabashedly sexual, but wrapped in an air of mystery. Most stars are beautiful and talented in ways that make them noticeable, but it is generally counterbalanced by an approachability that renders them accessible to a diverse audience. Marlene Dietrich, on the other hand, did not follow this model. Ever since The Blue Angel, her star persona has rested on a foundation of exoticism. Of course, the mythical qualities of Dietrich's image were no accident. Her most famous director, Joseph von Sternberg, did his best to accentuate the foreign and exotic nature of his most famous actress, and in conjunction with that, the most famous images of Dietrich portray her glowing face juxtaposed against a shadowy silhouette, with the ornamental composition making it seem almost as though she were an artificial creation. Her life off-screen was no less exotic, as it was filled with an endless string of affairs that only enhanced the Marlene Dietrich myth. At the same time, however, there is complexity to her performances that extends far beyond the artificiality of the costumes and the sensuality of her appearance. The significance of Dietrich's career lies in the way that she combined feminine sensuality with masculine independence. She may have introduced a more overt form of female sexuality to cinema, but her films also inaugurated a female independence that had yet to surface in Hollywood. Moreover, the narrative of her life reveals much about both Germany and Hollywood, as well as the cabaret culture of Berlin and the politics of Nazi Germany and America before and after World War II. Film stars become famous for their performances, but they are not separate from the cultures in which they operate. Marie Magdalena Dietrich was born on December 27, 1901, in Schönberg, which is now a suburb of Berlin. But in turn-of-the-century Germany, it was still an autonomous unit that would not merge with Berlin until 1920. As with many other film stars, the name given to her at birth was not the same one with which she would be identified later in life. Marie Magdalena was a very common name in Germany at the time, and in an urge to separate herself from the others with her name at age 11, she conflated her first and middle names to form Marlene. She had one older sibling, Elizabeth, who was born 1 year before Marlene, and the two were the only children of Louis Erich Otto and Wilhelmina Josephina Elisabeth Dietrich. The family lived in a small flat in Seidenstrasse, a street named after a famous battle of the same name. Marlene's parents came from dissimilar backgrounds, although arriving at the true facts surrounding her childhood has always been a challenge. Over the years, there have been many false claims made about Marlene's family, with spurious allegations that were due in no small part to Dietrich's own habit of disclosing false information with regard to her upbringing. Dietrich was fond of misleading the public, a habit that only enhanced the mystery of her image. But regardless, it is now believed that Josefina came from a vastly more privileged background than her husband. Her family had amassed a generous endowment from their involvement in the clockmaking trade, and Marlene's mother was raised in an environment of moderate affluence. Josefina's family also embraced a strict Prussian culture built around a harsh sense of discipline. Despite her family's socioeconomic status,
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.